Are the Minnesota Vikings completely screwed? I'm going to explain the good and the bad that comes with JJ McCarthy's latest injury that will reportedly sideline him 2 to 4 weeks. And here comes Carson Wentz. This podcast is presented by 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. If you need your bathroom remodel, contact 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. 48-hour remodels. That's their guarantee. Big projects, small projects, 48 hours. Don't wait 8 weeks when your bathroom can be transformed in 48 hours. Affordable solutions, beautiful transformations. 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. So McCarthy ruled out, high ankle sprain, 2 to 4 weeks. And here slides Carson Wentz into the starting job for the Vikings. The only problem with this is that Carson Wentz didn't play any preseason game. He didn't participate in training camp. He wasn't a part of mandatory OTAs or any offseason activity. Carson Wentz signed with the Vikings on August 24th, 2 weeks before the regular season started. And let's take a look at Carson Wentz's history. This is his 6th team in the last 6 seasons. And he's going to make NFL history this Sunday by starting for 6 different teams in 6 different seasons. He had 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions combined over his last 3 seasons as a backup guy who made an occasional start. His last full season starting was 4 years ago with the Indianapolis Colts, and he accumulated pretty good stats. 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Is there any way that Carson Wentz starting with the Vikings does not end in a disaster? Because what I've been told is that McCarthy needed to play preseason snaps because he needed to get reps in. And I get it, he's a younger player. He doesn't have the Carson Wentz experience. But Carson Wentz has missed every significant portion of the offseason program and is now going to start. If Kevin O'Connell's playbook is as complicated as everyone makes it seem, then Carson Wentz is going to be a disaster for the Vikings. That's the bad. Here's the good. The good is that McCarthy had 1 good quarter in 2 games. He had 7 really bad quarters. The drop-off from where McCarthy was to Carson Wentz will not be that significant if Carson Wentz stinks. I think that's the good. I mean, you couldn't possibly get any worse than 6 points against the Atlanta Falcons. You couldn't possibly get any worse than less than 50 plays versus the Chicago Bears and Atlanta Falcons. So we're not asking Carson Wentz to take this ship that was on the right trajectory and continue the path. We're asking Carson Wentz to take over a ship that's the Titanic that just ran into an iceberg and calling for Mayday. But it's hard to blame Carson Wentz for this upcoming disaster because he stepped into a disaster. And if you are a Vikings decision maker right now, are you crapping your pants because you let Daniel Jones walk out that door, because you lowballed Sam Darnold, and because you passed up signing Aaron Rodgers? If the Vikings knew before the season started that this would be the situation that they're in, that McCarthy would stink through 2 games and that they would be forced to sign Carson Wentz because Sam Howell wasn't any good, and that they'd be forced to start Carson Wentz because McCarthy went down with another injury, which has to be concerning. Are you regretting passing up on 3 different quarterbacks that all would have hand-selected the Vikings? Instead, the Vikings put all of their chips in an unknown player, JJ McCarthy. If you have collected this Super Bowl roster defensively, you have this Super Bowl roster offensively, and the one area on your roster that is the most shaky is the quarterback position. And you had 3 other guys that are now starting for 3 other teams wanting to be the quarterback for your team. There has to be people inside the Vikings locker room that were pro Darnold, that were pro Daniel Jones, and that were pro Aaron Rodgers that are looking at Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and saying, I told you we shouldn't have put all our chips in on JJ McCarthy. I told you that we should have given Daniel Jones a bigger contract offer. I told you that we should have brought back Sam Darnold. I told you that we should have brought in Aaron Rodgers, because now we're left with Carson Wentz, who has not started more than 9 games in his last 3 seasons and has missed training camp, OTAs, and every single offseason activity to come in and right a ship that is broken. I mean, what are we doing here? This was supposed to be the year that we went from playoff team to Super Bowl contenders. And the Vikings are nowhere close. Here's also the bad with this injury, is that McCarthy this season, these first few games have been a process. When he comes back from an injury, he's not going to be where he left off. He's taking a step back. That's the bad. McCarthy, when he comes back from this injury, is not going to be clicking on all cylinders. Have you ever been so mad playing Madden that you had to restart the game because something glitched and you just got screwed? That is JJ McCarthy. He got injured. He's going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. When he comes back, he's not going to pick up where he left off. He's restarting. It's a do-over. And that's not good for the Vikings that had very high expectations this season. So the good is that it can't get any worse. But the bad is it going to get any better? And the question that people want to answer is, when will McCarthy come back? And he's not going to come back overseas. He's missing Pittsburgh because he's out 2 to 4 weeks, which puts in a potential hope for the Cleveland game. He's not playing in Cleveland because the next week is a bye week. Why would you push him to Cleveland when you get an extra week for him to recover and for him to prepare against the teams that are coming up? And the gauntlet is around the corner. So right now is a pressure cooker for the Vikings and their offense and Carson Wentz. Because if they want any chance at being successful, they need to beat Cincinnati with Jake Browning. They need to beat Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Because then the gauntlet comes with the Ravens and the Packers. This is crunch time for the Vikings. And they need to pull it together and figure it out, or their season is over. Something that needs to be brought up, and I'm going to tell you in a second. But first, I need to tell you about Hochland Farms beef, because they have the best rotation grazed 100% grass-fed beef. Hochland Farm beef. Contact Jared at 952-491-1541. 952-491-1541 for delicious chuck roast steaks, ground beef, and more. Get 20% off your first order by telling Jared you heard about it from Tim. Tell Jared, hey, Hochland Farm beef, heard from Tim. He'll give you 20% off your first order. 952-491-1541. 1541. All right. We can't leave this conversation without discussing the potential opportunity for Max Brosmer. Max Brosmer had a very solid preseason. And if you put any acumen into preseason activity, mandatory OTAs, training camp, Max Brosmer participated in all of those things. So he has a very good grasp on the playbook. And here's a guy that has been touted for his work ethic being in that Vikings facility. So if you are Kevin O'Connell, you have to have a quick leash on Carson Wentz for the potential opportunity for Max Brosmer. And Max Brosmer showed a lot of very good things in the preseason. So many things that I thought that he had a better chance to outshine JJ McCarthy because he had such better anticipatory skills. The timing of his throws were on point, and this wasn't against some third stringers. Brosmer, with the third string offense, was going against the Tennessee Titans first team defense. It's not like he was going against some nobodies that are now on some practice squads. So you look at Max Brosmer, and you would think that the Vikings would pull Carson Wentz quickly if he clearly shows he's not the guy. And Brosmer's preseason stats, 35 for 38, 364 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. A touch erratic. We'd like to see those numbers be a little closer, 35 for 58. But I really think that the Vikings should pull Carson Wentz very fast if he is not delivering. I mean, if this thing is as bad as we are anticipating it could possibly be for a guy that signed on August 24th, why would you not put Max Brosmer in? So this really could be Max Brosmer time. And it really should be very quickly if Carson Wentz is not good in that first half. If Carson Wentz is missing guys wide open, if the playbook is so hamstrung because he doesn't know the playbook, then Max Brosmer needs to be the guy. Thanks for joining the show today. Remember, 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis for your bathroom needs. 48-hour bathroom remodels. Hoagland Farms Beef, 952-491-1541. Tell Jared you heard about it from Tim, and he'll give you 20% off your first order.